Hello, everyone. We are Ylag working in the community in hopes of making a difference. I'm Ajani, and today I'm joined by 3 other current Ylaggers, and we'll all be incoming freshmen in the fall. I'm also joined by our college Ylag sisters who are here to share advice and give us tips on our experience in college. We'll start off by our names and where we'll be attending in the fall. I'm Ajani, and I'll be attending Ohio State University in the fall.
Hi, I'm DeRay, and I'll be attending Central State University.
Hello, I'm Deasia, and I'll be attending Tennessee State.
Hi, I'm Coriana, and I'll be attending Central State.
Hi, I'm Essence, and I go to Bloomfield College.
Hi, my name is Leia. I went to Howard University, transferred out to Sinclair Community College, currently taking classes.
Hi, I'm Destiny, and I attend Bowling Green State University.
Hi, I'm Tamaria, and I attend Northern Kentucky University.
Okay, so for my first question, I'll start off with, in your opinion, what do you think the biggest tip for incoming freshmen, as in like things to know for college or things for your dorm, anything like that?
A tip that I suggest is to make sure that you develop good study habits. So if you are a person that likes to study the night before or even a week before, you should learn how to prep in your time studying over the course of time instead of a short amount of time.
I would say go to college for the right reasons. Don't go to college because you want freedom and you want to go party. If you want to go party, make sure you get your work done before. Like I always, like if I said I was going out on Friday, I'm like, okay, I'm going to make sure I have my homework done by Wednesday. Just so it's like I'm not stressed and trying to get my homework done just so I can go out.
My tip would be to focus on finding balance in your life. Time management is very important. Your mental health will also be very important. It's a very critical time in your life. You're out, you're doing whatever you want. You think you can do whatever you want, but sometimes those things have consequences, especially like Destiny said, if you're not doing your work and you're just going out, out, out. So time management and balance is definitely something that's important.
I would say one of the more useful tips is when you get on campus, be present, like get into different activities, get in organizations, all that stuff, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to help you build those connections, and those connections will open doors for you.
Okay, so how did you guys stay organized?
So I stayed organized by putting all of my due dates on the same calendar. I did it all, you can do it on your phone, you can do it on your laptop. I just did mine in my calendar, but I just downloaded everything. All my assignments, I put them in there, any appointments I had, any homework I needed to do, I would plan out pretty much everything. Homework, assignment times, stuff like that. That would be the best way, to keep everything in one central location, and also to do notifications if you're forgetful. I'm very forgetful, so I usually set out month, 2 weeks, a month, and then a few days before.
I would say that I'm not the best at being organized, but I've grown to understand that you have to be organized in order to be a good student. Throughout high school, I never used a planner, but now I use a planner. It's hard to like be consistent with the planner for me, but now it helps me a lot. Like I write all my homework assignments down. I give a specific date when I'm going to have the homework assignment before even the due date is. And then like she said, I write down like any appointments, anything like little, I write that all in my planner just because that's the first thing I'm looking at when I wake up in the morning.
I would also say I'm not that organized either, but I know that a lot of y'all probably aren't going to be walking around with planners and stuff and probably be on your phone. So some of y'all schools do have apps that'll tell y'all assignments. So just keep y'all apps and stay logged into them and just check y'all apps daily.
Okay. How hard would you say you guys... How hard would you say your freshman year was on a scale of 1 to 10, and why?
I would say my freshman year was probably like a 6 academically. Like it wasn't too academically challenging. It was definitely a little bit of a transition from having assignments due every day, every week, to some classes only having 3 assignments, and that's it. And if you miss those assignments, you fail the class pretty much. So I would say a 6 academically, but as far as like my actual college life and my experience that I had, I would say probably like a 4. I loved the people at my school, but the administration was just, I had a lot of issues, so yeah.
I would say that I would rate it probably, like she said, academically, I would rate mine about a 4. I did great my freshman year. I think that was like the easiest year. My classes were not too hard. Also, I made some good friends, and we all like went to the library at the same time. That's key. Have your library friends. It's okay to be in the library, but if you have a group, go to the library at 12 at night and hang out till 3 in the morning, kicking and doing homework. Like that's okay to do that.
I would say for me, I give it a 7. Basically, well, like I would say, I kind of jumped into like what I wanted to do. I know some people go in undeclared, but I will say it was a little tougher for me because I was taking like science classes, which is kind of those are a little bit challenging. I'm not gonna lie. And like she said before, just about the studying habits. I came from Troutwood. I wasn't really up on studying all the time like that. But when I came to college, I'm like, oh yeah, she's not playing. I need to study. So yeah, definitely, that's definitely a good tip that she gave y'all. As far as like the outside activities, I play soccer, so I also had to kind of find my balance between being a college athlete and also, working out my academics, which was kind of also tough, but it was just kind of something I was also used to because in high school I played sports a lot too. So I would give it a 7. So it was good.
For me, maybe about a 5 or a 6, just because I did start off in person, but I switched to online and they didn't really have like a professor teaching me, so I had to teach everything to myself. So if y'all do go online, that's why I say to develop the study habits, because I had to literally teach myself and study it. So probably about a 5 or a 6.
So when y'all went, like, did y'all gain friends, lose friends, or be neutral?
Um, I lost friends because I didn't stay on campus, and a lot of my other friends either didn't go to school, or if they did go to school, they went somewhere far. And my major is a hard major. Like, I want to be a lawyer, so like I study more. So I probably maintained one friend, and that's a friend that is also majoring in something hard. So we both had like our minds on the same thing. But if your friends don't have the same mindset as you or want the same goals as you, it's a good chance that y'all ain't gonna stay friends through college.
I definitely kept some of my high school friends. I didn't talk to them as often while I was away. I've talked to them more now that I'm back home. But I definitely made a lot of new friends while I was in college. I met a lot of great people. I didn't really have any problems with anybody new that I met. Really just met a lot of really nice, cool people. So
I would say that, like she said, I kept a lot of my friends from high school just because they were genuine friendships that I'm grateful for. But when I got to college, I say I started off with, maybe seven friends that I thought was like, oh yeah, we kicking it, da da da. And then I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to drop them because I don't like how they act. And I wasn't used to like certain stuff. And like she said, when people don't have the same mindset, like I started going to the gym. So I started like, I wasn't just sitting in my room sleeping all day being lazy. So when I seen other people just sitting around really not doing much, I just had to back away and was like, okay, I'm working out. I'm doing what I gotta do. I'm going to the library. I'm asking y'all, do y'all want to come? Y'all don't. You guys just want to sleep. You guys are not for me. So I had to cut some people off basically just because we weren't on the same path.
I kind of agree with Destiny. I kind of went in, and a lot of my friends came from like teammates or whatever. And also, of course, other things. But I kind of went in having a decent amount. Of course, I have my outside friends, but I'm not really talking about them. I'm talking about like when you go to college, you do meet new people, but you just gotta make sure that they got the right energy, definitely, because I could really say like I probably don't really have that many genuine friendships at school, just because a lot of people come from different types of homes and stuff like that, and they just don't move how you would move, kind of. So basically, I would just say, just make sure you're keeping the right energy around you.
I wanted to chime in on what she said, where she said a lot of people come from different places. You have to understand that your roommate might be somebody that's not from the city and they're from a rural area, and you have to deal with that. Like it comes with that, especially at a PWI. So if any of you said Ohio State, you never know what you're going to walk into. So you have to come in with an open mind And then also just not accepting, but kind of accepting, because everybody comes from a different household. Like, you have to learn what they've been taught as well with what you've been taught.
And just to kind of chime in on that a little bit more, even if you do find yourself having problems with people, don't make a habit of burning bridges while you're in college, because you never know who could be in your class, especially if you're in the same major group, because that's how they did it at Howard. So you're pretty much like with your same major people for the whole time, pretty much. But just make sure you're careful about how you interact with people, because you never know who could be in your group later on. People like to sabotage. People are petty. College is just high school with older people. It's just high school with older people. So you still have to watch how you're talking to people, how you carry yourself, so that you can keep yourself protected throughout the whole time.
Alrighty, on to my next question. My question is more geared toward people who are attending PWIs. Would you say that your experience in extracurriculars or within your classes, do you feel that sometimes you don't get as many opportunities being that you're studying at a PWI? Because in high school, I feel many times that like certain experiences or certain leadership roles aren't given to me simply because of the color of my skin. And I don't know if that'll continue on in college, or if you feel like you haven't had that experience, but how have you dealt with that? And are there any tips that you have for like experience like those?
So I would say that really, I don't want to say that it doesn't matter, because it could apply. But at my school, it doesn't necessarily matter, because I'm a part of organizations that are for African Americans. So they give us the chance to stand out. Like, they give you the chance to be different. They give you the chance to be the leader. Like, it's not always following in somebody else's footsteps. You just have to have the mentality and the drive yourself. It doesn't matter about what other people think or how other people are going to treat you. As long as you can do it, you got it, for real.
So yeah, I attend a PWI, and I would say that I have experienced some things where you're the only black person in the class, and you're like, oh, okay. And then it's funny when they're talking about our culture and no one else knows anything about it, and you're the only one that's speaking on it, because it's like no one else. So you're basically teaching other people about yourself, just because it's like like I said, everybody's from somewhere different. I would also say, like, with you saying, like, you don't get the roles because of the color of your skin, like she said, PWIs, yeah, all predominantly white, but they do have the Black Student Union, where they do allow you to, be yourself and take roles that you wouldn't necessarily have if you were trying to be a part of another organization that wasn't for colored people.
So my question is, when things got tough mentally and physically, were you guys able to go to your counselor, like talk about it, or were there some type, like, what did you do when things got to that level?
The first thing I did when I felt myself getting overwhelmed was really just going back to family, calling my mom, talking to my dad a lot, talking to my grandma. I had an aunt and uncle that stayed a little bit outside of D.C., so I stayed over their house a little bit. Just keep yourself surrounded by people you love when you feel yourself, slipping. We also did have some like counseling services that they had that were for free through the school, so I did some of those when I felt my mental health or anxiety coming back or going south. But most schools do have a lot of free counseling programs where they have psychiatrists on site all the time, pretty much, or phone numbers that you can call. So, yeah.
Yes. So I did have a counselor for about a year, and that's just because, like she said, mentally I was stressed. Mentally, I was ready to go home. I was fed up with school. Like, school can get really tiring, and it takes a lot for you to get back motivated, especially if you're not hanging around the right people. And that's why I say always surround yourself by people who want the best for you and want the best for themselves. But first, they have to want the best for themselves, because then they, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be around somebody that's just sitting on their butt all day and you working hard, because obviously they not going nowhere and they really not going to push you to go nowhere, So I definitely had to, there were some times where I had to check in with my mental health to make sure that I was okay first before I did anything else, such as like schoolwork. Like there was a time where I was like I had to take a pause on my schoolwork just because I was like I'm not in the best position right now and I need a break. And if if your university is understanding about mental health, then they will give you that break, but you just have to be open about it and notice that got a little problem.
Also, like what I want to add in too is that some of the universities, I don't know if y'all's do, but like they do have this program that you can go talk to and like about your mental health, and they will give you the opportunity to like have extra time on tests, extra time on assignments, so just to make sure that you're okay. So just make sure like if y'all do start feeling that way, y'all check in with y'all school advisors and stuff. And the counselors, I didn't speak to a counselor, but I did speak to a lot of my professors had teachers assistants, and I liked to talk to them because they could relate more to you because they were not that much older than you. So if you don't feel comfortable talking to a professor or someone like a lot older than you, just look for like an older student or something. They're not as nasty as you think they are.
Do you guys recommend getting a job, part-time job throughout college?
I would say give your freshman year a run. Just focus on school your freshman year. That's your foundation for your GPA. Just give yourself that time to get adjusted, because if you find yourself with a job, and you're dependent on that money, you're going to start putting your job over your schoolwork. And you don't want that to happen your freshman year, because you can't dig yourself out of a bad GPA.
I would definitely say that that was not like I was not going to get a job because I knew personally, I know myself, like I know that I can't juggle I can't go party and do homework and work. It just wasn't going to work like that. So I had to pick two, and that's what I did. And I did great my freshman year. With that, I finished with like a 3.4 GPA. So I'm like, okay, well, that's great. But as the years go on, depending on your major, honestly, if you're like a science major, I doubt that you want to grab that job your sophomore year, because that's when you really going to be getting into your major classes. And it gets difficult. It really does. So it's just depending on the person you are. Can you handle that? Can you handle that mentally? Can you handle that physically?
I would kind of say mine is a little bit different, but like I said before, like I've always been a busy person. Like right now, I'm a RA. I do hair on campus. I play soccer. So like I've always have a nice little plate. So I mean, I just say do what you can. Like I know some people like me. I wasn't really reliant on my mom's money or my dad's money. So like I always had like a little side hustle or something. So even if it's not a job, you could, if you're good at cooking, you can make dinners because they gonna eat those up definitely. But or if you do hair on campus, get your name out there. People will come to you. You do nails, lashes, hair, and we're girls, so it's a lot you can do. So I would just say, do what you can, basically. I wouldn't put emphasis on getting a job because you don't need one, especially if you got parents that's going to be like, hey, here, dish this off to you. But yes, I would recommend if you want to.
I do it. I think it's easy for me, but like I said, I'm online. I don't really go on campus, so my work is really more at my own pace. So if y'all are like have a smaller schedule or your classes aren't as hard, then I recommend it because it is always nice to have your own money and not depend on someone else. But also, if you cannot maintain your grades, just don't do it because school always comes first.
So, like, would y'all recommend staying on campus or doing online?
For me, I would say be on campus because I feel like one thing, well, this is just me personally, but one thing about online, I just feel like you're not really learning nothing. Like, this was only for me, though. This is just for me because, when COVID hit, a lot of people was, I don't want to say, like, but y'all probably thinking what I'm thinking, honestly. But like, I feel like one thing about online is just like you really not really getting nothing from it. Especially since I'm a science major, like I wasn't able to do labs, all that hands-on stuff. That stuff was cut out for me. So I missed a lot of that my freshman and sophomore year. So I'm it's like kind of like playing catch up, kind of, because some people might have these skills and stuff that I don't. So I would definitely stay on campus.
I would also recommend on campus. you really only get to be, a freshman in college or, this young in college once in your life. So this is your time to really go out, live your life, do your own thing. So staying on campus is definitely good. I do like online, me personally. I like to just be more flexible with my schedule. I kind of like the teaching yourself kind of deal. So if you learn better teaching yourself, if you don't learn as well, getting talked at or watching slides, I would definitely recommend online maybe after, your sophomore year or something like that.
I would definitely say go on campus because not only like you just make so many like you meet so many different people like and it's so worth it. Like networking is worth it because at the end you're gonna want to have like doors open for you, so many doors that's gonna open for you after you graduate. But I'm just saying, like, being on campus, like she said, it's only like a one in a time, what is once in a lifetime thing, you know? And I think that everybody should experience it. It's really fun. And not only that, but like I said, like you can even stay up all night just being at the library with your friends. That's fun. I don't know why, but it's fun. At the end of the day, I think you guys should go on campus. I do take online classes this summer, and I can say that they're way easier, but I'm really not learning much. I can say that. Like I'm not learning. I'm not.
What I would say is, I don't necessarily say you have to go on campus because I'm not on campus, but what I will say is, if you want to feel like an adult and actually get that experience, just get out of your parents' house. Like, you don't necessarily have to go stay on campus. You can stay in an apartment next to campus. You can commute, but make sure it's good to get away from your parents for that first year for sure, because I stayed on campus for like the first semester. I didn't like it. I came home, but as soon as I came home, I got my own apartment, because once you get out and live by yourself, it's good to develop those skills and be able to take care of yourself and learn just a bunch of different things.
My next question is, aside from like having like fewer classes or having fewer assignments or not having your teacher like press you on turning assignments in, what do you think the biggest shock factor of switching from high school to college is?
My biggest shock factor was this, and it didn't even happen in my freshman year. It actually happened this past semester. I just took one of the hardest classes of my life. It didn't have no assignments. And like, I'm not a good test taker, so if you aren't a good test taker, that's why I say you need to make sure you can study, because I had no assignments the whole class, and I had 3 exams. That was all. And I had to manage at least like a C or better on those exams to get a good grade in that class. So not having something to like bounce back on or like help your grade is like a really big shocking thing, because in high school they give you projects, they give you assignments, you get group work, you get a lot of stuff to help build your grade. So just make sure that if you do get a professor that doesn't give you assignments, that you're at least studying for them tests, and do the best that you can, because that can really mess your grade up.
One big shock factor for me was, hold on. I just had it, and then I forgot it. I'm serious, it's gone.
I would just say being independent. At home, I relied mostly on my mom and my papa. I get to school, and it's a whole different ball game. Like, you're on your own time. Even though you know that assignment is due Friday, you're going to think you have all the time in the world to get that assignment in. But in reality, time moves like this once you get out of high school to me. That's when I felt like things was just, like, life really hits you after high school. So I was just like, wow, I wish I didn't rush it. But yeah, I think just being independent was a shock for me, because like now when I'm coming back home, I'm like, I need to go back. I can't stand being home.
Okay, I remembered it. It was the amount of free time that I had. I was very busy in high school, had a very consistent schedule, go to school, go to dance after that, homework, sleep. So when I got to college, and it was like, you can only have like 1 class a day or like no classes and just be free for, half the week, 5 days a week. You ain't got no classes if you do it right. I don't recommend that. You should definitely space your classes out. Don't take all your classes on the same day. You should always study after your class so you can retain the information you just learned. That's another tip. Space out your classes. But that was it, was the free time. I had a lot of time and not a lot that I was doing. So, yeah.
So as a college athlete, how were you able to like manage all throughout from traveling and just doing like your side hustle? Like how did you manage?
Girl. I like I said before, I've been like always been a busy person, but I definitely will say, use your professors, like and communicate with them. Like definitely communicate with them, because most of the time they will be like, okay, that's cool. You missing class? Okay, get these notes from somebody else. Oh, you can take this exam, this, that, and third. So that would be my biggest thing is just communicate with your professors and let them know what's going on.
Okay, for the ones that's staying on campus or that were staying on campus, what was your class size, like ratio-wise, professor to students?
My school is a little bit small, so it really isn't like my probably biggest class was like 30 students. So it wasn't really nothing for real. I know like people that go to like OSU, girl, you might be in the class with 300 people. So yeah.
I would say yeah, like my school's not that small, but it's a medium size. Like I say, the biggest class I would probably be with, if it's like biology, it's probably 150 of us in biology, with one professor and 2 TAs.
It was about the same for me. Really, your big freshman sophomore level classes are always going to be the larger size classes. So like your bio, your gen chem, or any like public speaking classes that you take. Those are, I was gonna say, writing classes. Those are all going to be pretty heavily populated. But once you get to your more like junior, senior, more major specific classes, you're going to start getting smaller classes, probably like 6 or 7, depending upon your major. So.
I think my ratio was only like 20 to 1, maybe. And that was when I was there for like 5 seconds.
Alrighty, well, I would like to thank our college girls for coming back to talk to us and give us advice, and thank you to our viewers for tuning in. While it's been fun, we gotta run, gotta do some good for another neighborhood. So thank you for tuning in, and we hope you enjoyed your episode. Bye.
Oh, good.